seen something lately that I find concerning and disappointing. Black folks on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, what have you, are laughing, joking. We here for it. We gonna have our own stuff. White folks won't be allowed to participate. Yay! Making light of the current attempt at segregation, championed by Trump. Unlike the Leopard Face song, you know the one, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. That song is very appropriate and will probably, sadly, become an old standard. However, joking about Trump's latest move to bring back the 1870s as if it's going to be some net positive for blacks is highly inappropriate and dangerous. Segregation is not a joke. Never has been, never will be. But if we continue to act like it is, we're walking into a trap that history has already warned us about, written in the flesh and blood of our ancestors. In February 2025, Trump's administration started inroads to corralling black folk. Through the General Services Administration, they issued a memo removing the explicit ban on segregated facilities from new federal contracts. What this means is federal agencies are no longer required to include a clause that says you can't segregate. Now, granted, the Civil Rights Act of '64 still makes segregation illegal, but here's the problem. By removing the language, they've damaged the spirit of the act. And when you finally do even go further than damaging it, when you remove the spirit of the act, that opens the door for loopholes, abuse, whitewash reinterpretations of justice. It's just a slow erosion of the principles that were fought for decades. And if the right is good at nothing else, they have shown they can play a long con very, very well. Let's keep it a buck. Separate but equal has never worked. It has never been about equality. It was always about containment, humiliation, control. The truth of segregation? Resources always unequal. White schools get more money, better books, better teachers, better everything. Black schools, underfunded, overcrowded, overpoliced, left to rot. Segregation equals inferiority. Being forced into separate spaces tells you mid-key you're not worthy, that you're a problem to be isolated. That's not equality. That's social ostracization, punishment. It was always a lie. Separate but equal was just a legal cover for Jim Crow, a mask for white supremacy, a disguise for violence. And now going back to that is something to be celebrated, to be joked about? I find it hard to believe that y'all really think we're going to have an our side and they're going to be forced to stay on their side. Y'all are all the way out of your entire minds. I think time has dulled the impact of segregation to the current generation's minds. Here's what really happens after segregation starts. We build because we are innovators. We're motivated. We thrive because we are very strong. We create self-contained communities and mind our own business. And then they burn it all down. Every single time. The following are some examples, and this is not a comprehensive list. Starting chronologically, we'll go all the way back to 1898 and the Wilmington Insurrection, which happened in Wilmington, North Carolina. Now, what had happened was, Wilmington had a black majority government and a thriving black middle class. But white supremacists, out of jealousy and fear, hatred, what have you, staged a coup and overthrew the government. Black business owners were then killed outright or forced to flee. And then the whites rewrote the state's constitution to disenfranchise black voters, thereby sealing their power. Moving on. Going to 1910, Slocum, Texas, the Slocum Massacre. This was another prosperous black community that was attacked by white mobs. Hundreds of black residents were killed, the survivors fled, and the town's history was almost completely erased. Then we can move on to 1919 with Elaine, Arkansas, the Elaine Massacre. Again, black sharecroppers organized to demand fair payment for their cotton. White mobs, aided by U.S. troops this time, killed hundreds of black people. Many black survivors were imprisoned, while white attackers, of course, faced no consequences whatsoever. It keeps going. Let's go to 1920, when women first had the right to vote
In Ocoee, Florida, the Ocoee Massacre happened. A black man named Moses Norman tried to vote in the presidential election. That's it. Just vote. White mobs freaked out, burned black homes and businesses, killing and forcing residents to flee, and Ocoee remained all white for decades. Now let's go ahead and get to the big machuga, the one everybody pretty much knows about. 1921, the Tulsa Race Massacre, Black Wall Street, Greenwood District, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now here, Greenwood was a thriving black community with successful businesses, banks, and schools on their own. Okay? A false accusation against a black teenager, you know the okie doke, led to a white mob attacking the district. Over 1,000 homes and businesses were burned. Hundreds of black residents were killed or displaced. No reparations were provided to this day, and the community was never fully rebuilt. Let's keep moving. The Rosewood Massacre, 1923. This is in Rosewood, Florida. Now here, Rosewood again was a prosperous black town with businesses and homes. A white woman again pulled the okie doke and accused a black man of assault. White mobs burned down the town and killed residents. Survivors were forced to flee, and the town was actually erased from maps. You see the cycle? It's an old playbook, and they use it over and over again. Let's go ahead and bring it on up to the present day. This is still ongoing, and I call it the destruction of black land ownership. Now, see, post-Reconstruction, black farmers had actually acquired millions of acres of land. But systemic racism, fraud, violence, discriminatory policies, this all led to the loss of 90% of that black-owned land. Racist practices like heirs property laws and USDA discrimination, okay, government-sponsored discrimination, caused massive land theft. The same white farmers that you see now begging for help, oh, my 80 grand got pulled and I need help. These are the same farmers that sued the USDA to block programs aimed at addressing discrimination against black farmers, arguing that such programs were discriminatory in themselves. It's that cycle. Separate, isolate, destroy. So when you laugh at the idea of segregation, you're laughing at the prelude to mass displacement, violence, economic death.
Okay. This isn't fear-mongering. I'm not trying to scare anyone. This is just the truth of history. Anyone can look it up. Okay? I will even include links to everything I've talked about in the description. We are being told clearly what time it is. Trump's admin has already started the dismantling of DEI programs across the nation. I mean, just as a side note, I have no idea what they have against Jackie Robinson, but man, are they after that guy's legacy. Anyway, they're erasing anti-segregation language, and next they'll find a way to reframe it. You know how they do, as freedom of association or religious rights or choice. Okay, it's not new. That's what I'm telling y'all. It's the same grift. It's polished up for the 21st century, but the Southern strategy is still there. So in closing, nah, it ain't funny. It ain't cute. Stop dancing and get going for likes and views. Or, let's be for real, stop dancing and get going for money. While policies are being written to push us back into second-class citizenship, which, to be honest, we never really got out of all the way to begin with. A fight might be coming. Maybe not with fists and fire, but with laws, contracts, and closed doors. And if we're not informed, if we're not ready, if we don't take it seriously, we'll wake up in a world that looks like 1955, but with Wi-Fi and smartphones. This is your wake-up call. This new attempt at segregation is not satire. It's not content. It's a warning. Take it as one.